The U.S. Department of Justice launched an investigation into the dissemination of alleged Pentagon documents that were published on various social medias. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko expressed his wish for Russia to defend Belarus as its own territory during his meeting with Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. And in China, the People's Liberation Army successfully completed the military exercises around Taiwan, ratifying its readiness to protect its territorial sovereignty. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The United States Department of Justice launched an investigation into the dissemination of alleged Pentagon documents that were published on various social medias. The released documents appear to detail the aid that the North American nation and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization provide to Ukraine. The documents disseminated on platforms such as Twitter and Telegram were labeled secret and resemble routine updates that the U.S. Army Joint Chiefs of Staff would produce daily but not distribute publicly. U.S. officials are currently scrambling to identify the leaked source, with some experts saying it could be a U.S. citizen. This has been considered one of the most serious security breaches affecting the country since the WikiLeaks disclosure, and authorities on the case have said the investigation is still in its early stages. Two U.S. officials stated on Sunday that they have not ruled out that the documents may have been doctored to mislead investigators as to their origin. During a press conference held on Monday, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador assured once again that his country does not produce the raw material for fentanyl or any of its derivatives.
But the first thing, and it is good that all of this is being discussed, is to know where it is produced, because obviously more is produced than what it is required for medical purposes. So where is it being overproduced? And here I would like to make it clear again that fentanyl is not produced in Mexico, and neither is the raw material for fentanyl.
The Mexican head of state also indicated that his government is keeping the authorities of El Salvador, Guatemala and Venezuela informed about the progress of the investigations into the fire that took the lives of a group of migrants in Ciudad Juarez, and reiterated that those responsible would be punished according to the law.
The authorities of El Salvador, Guatemala and Venezuela are right. What happened is very regrettable, and they have to protect the lives of their fellow citizens. That is the work of the government, and we are in communication with them to help. And also, as I said from the first day, there will be no impunity. Those responsible will be punished.
On Monday, Cuba's central bank announced that the U.S. dollar will once again be accepted in banks and other non-banking financial institutions. Authorities informed that the repeal of Resolution 176/2021, which prohibited the acceptance of the U.S. dollar in cash, responds to the current circumstances and priorities of the economic policy. The exchange market, established in August 2022, among other measures, created the conditions to take this step. The Central Bank of Cuba added that since the U.S. policy of economic pressure that led to the June 2021 decision remains in place, the underlying problem has not been resolved. Therefore, it will be necessary to monitor the evolution of banking and financial activity. Cuban authorities are confident that the measure will prove beneficial for the national economy and for the public. On Monday, Cuba and Switzerland voiced their desire to continue strengthening their bilateral relations with a long history of friendship and cooperation. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez received his Swiss counterpart Ignacio Cassis, who is making an official visit. The European diplomat expressed his intention to note the island's efforts to develop despite the adversities in the economic field. Cassis acknowledged that Switzerland is very close to Cuba in the promotion of various mutual cooperation programs and expressed his desire to contribute more to the development of the Caribbean nation. For his part, Bruno Rodriguez described relations with Switzerland as harmonious, respectful, productive, and mutually enriching in the cultural, educational, and scientific fields.
We are particularly grateful to Switzerland for having represented Cuba's interests in third countries at significant moments and contributed to the development of our ties, particularly at the European and multilateral levels.
Venezuela's Attorney General Tarek William Saab informed on Monday the number of people arrested for allegedly being involved in new corruption schemes in state-owned companies, the justice system, and other government agencies rose to 55. The head of the Public Prosecutor's Office detailed that the number of captured people responds to the 67 arrest warrants issued against people involved in corruption mafias discovered within PDVSA, CBG, SUNACRIP, among other state institutions. Saab added that for now, 12 more captures of requested persons are still pending. He also detailed that in the anti-corruption procedures, which began in mid-March, 142 raids have been carried out in different regions of the country. In Colombia, authorities continue to evacuate towns that are at risk due to the ongoing activity in the Belarus volcano. According to local authorities, efforts to evacuate about 22 municipalities in the departments of Caldas, Cundinamarca, Risaralda, and Tolima continue. Likewise, emergency teams prepare mobile treatment facilities to be sent to these areas that could be affected by the volcanic event. These actions are carried out within the framework of the declaration of the Orange Alert in the midst of the constant activity registered in the Nevado del Ruiz volcano, a measure that allowed the implementation of all risk management committees in the municipalities at risk. Meanwhile, in Ecuador, the Cotopaxi volcano released a column of gases and ash about 1,100 meters high. According to Ecuador's Geophysical Institute, the ash cloud from the crater is heading west and could affect areas to the volcano's southwest. Experts pointed out that ash emissions from the volcano have become more frequent. Authorities declared a yellow alert in the volcano's area of influence in October 2022 and are currently maintaining disaster prevention operations at the site. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko expressed his wish for Russia to defend Belarus as its own territory during his meeting with Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. During the meeting, the president stated that the Western countries do not abide by the security guarantees offered in the Budapest memorandum to three former Soviet countries, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, and Belarus, in exchange for getting rid of their nuclear arsenals in 1994. In this way, Lukashenko conveyed his concern to President Putin, who supported him and advocated the revision of bilateral treaties and agreements, as well as the search for an interstate legal framework to ensure the security of Belarus.
During talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin on union state between Russia and Belarus, it was said that in case of an aggression against Belarus, the Russian Federation would defend Belarus like its own territory. These are the security guarantees.
For his part, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu thanked the Defense Minister of Belarus and its President Alexander Lukashenko for the cooperation received.
I would like to say a special thank you to your Defense Ministry, to you personally. We've been offered 5 training grounds on the territory of Belarus. They have equipment. Moreover, a sufficient amount of instructors and officers have been assigned by the Belarusian armed forces, including for training our newcomers.
In Ukraine, the head of the presidential office, Andrei Yermak, confirmed the return of 100 war prisoners to the country after a new exchange with Russia. The head of the Ukrainian presidential office assured that everything would be done to ensure that each of the prisoners would receive the help they need. Among the released Ukrainian military personnel, there were soldiers of the land army, sailors, border guards, and members of the National Guard. Some of the servicemen were captured at the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol, which was captured by Russia in May last year. The Turkish Navy incorporated on Monday into its naval forces the amphibious assault ship TCG Anadolu, adapted to carry attack drones. The ceremony was attended by the country's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The TCG Anadolu was built as part of the multi-purpose landing craft project and is capable of deploying battalion-equivalent forces to target areas without requiring additional support from main bases. Adapted to carry attack drones, the TCG Anadolu will be the first ship in the world to achieve this. The TCG Anadolu measures 231 meters in length and has a 32-meter beam. When fully equipped, it will displace 27,436 tons. This amphibious assault ship project, designed to carry both helicopters and drones, came about after the United States refused to include Ankara in the F-35 fifth-generation fighter project. In Italy, authorities report that about 1,000 undocumented migrants arrived during the last 24 hours on the island of Lampedusa. According to the Italian Coast Guard, 26 boats were attended and almost 2,000 migrants remain in facilities with a maximum capacity of 400 people. Meanwhile, authorities are working on the relocation of the migrants towards Sicily, while specialized organizations in migration warn that there are more unsafe boats at sea. Local media detailed that weather conditions are favorable, a fact that boosts the new migratory wave coming from Tunisia. On Easter Monday, Pope Francis commemorated the 25th anniversary of the peace accords that put an end to the armed conflict in Northern Ireland and wished that this will be extended to other parts of the world. From St. Peter's Square of the Vatican, the Supreme Pontiff recalled that the Good Friday or Belfast Agreement put an end to the violence that had troubled Northern Ireland for decades. In this way, Francis prayed that what was achieved with this historic agreement be consolidated for the benefit of all the men and women of the island of Ireland, and added wished the gift of peace for the whole world. The petition came after praying the Regina Caeli before the faithful gathered in the vicinity of the Vatican for Easter Monday, a feast day in Italy. teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, Dial 461, and enjoy a Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. The Chinese People's Liberation Army successfully completed the military exercises around Taiwan, ratifying its readiness to protect its territorial sovereignty. The Chinese Army's Eastern Theater of Operations explained that it tested its forces in real combat conditions, in which they completed various tasks of combat readiness. Chinese military spokesman Xi Yi assured that the troops are now ready to fight against any form of separatism and attempts of foreign interference. China considers Taiwan a province in rebellion since the Kuomintang nationalists retreated to the island in 1949 after losing the civil war against the Communist Party. It is also a major bone of contention between Beijing and Washington, since the latter is Taiwan's main arms supplier and its biggest military ally. On Monday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said separatist activities seeking Taiwan independence is as incompatible with peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait as fire with water.
We hope the international community fully recognizes the truth of the Taiwan question, staunchly abides by the One China principle, and firmly opposes all forms of Taiwan independence separatist activity. Taiwan independence and Taiwan Strait peace and stability are mutually exclusive things. If we want to protect peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, we must firmly oppose any form of Taiwan independence separatism. A spokesperson for the Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army said a few days ago that from April 8th to 10th, the Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army will hold a joint SOAR exercise surrounding Taiwan Island to organize combat readiness and police patrols around Taiwan. This is a serious warning to the provocations of Taiwan independent separatist forces and external forces, and it is a necessary action to safeguard sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The United Kingdom government has announced its decision to hold the recruitment of health workers from Nigeria, as the World Health Organization identified Nigeria as one of 55 countries with significant health workforce challenges. The decision places the most populous African country on the red list of nations not to be targeted for recruitment, following a report issued by the WHO a month ago. The UK government advised health and social care employers not to actively seek workers from these countries, except in cases of a government-to-government agreement. In this way, the country notes that the increasing scale of health and social care worker migration from low and lower middle-income countries threatens the achievement of their nation's health and social care goals. Currently, there are over 11,000 Nigerian trained doctors in the United Kingdom, according to the UK General Medical Council's data. Cameroon is looking to rejoin the U.S. Trade Initiative for Africa as the country works to boost export revenues amid falling foreign exchange earnings. Cameroon's Economy Minister Alamin Ousmane May said his country has started talks with Washington for admission back into Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, which grants African countries tariff-free access to U.S. market. The fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic and global shocks triggered by the conflict in Ukraine have hit Cameroon hard, denting economic growth and undermine its ability to repay debt. The International Monetary Fund forecasts that Cameroon, a Central African oil producer, will record 4.3% of economic growth this year. In 2019, the U.S. kicked Cameroon out of the AGOA program for rights violations by security forces in the prestige southwest and northwest regions. In South Africa, at least 7 large electricity pylons collapsed into a highway near the capital of Pretoria, causing a multiple vehicle crash, according to city authorities and emergency services. The paramedic service on site reported that 2 people were injured in the car crash, treated at the scene and taken to the hospital. The fell-down pylons, which had collapsed Sunday night, caused a high-voltage cables to hang extremely low over the highway, causing vehicles to swerve to avoid them and resulting in the crash. Although the reason for the collapse was unclear, local mayor Celiers Brink suggested the accident might have happened because of criminal vandalism. According to city authorities, many areas in North and East Pretoria had lost their electricity supply, while repair crews battled rainy weather, and there was no estimate for when the power would be restored. On Monday, 4 people were killed and 15 injured in a bombing targeting a police vehicle in a marketplace in the southwestern Pakistani city of Quetta. Separatist group, the Balochistan Liberation Army, claimed responsibility for the blast, which was the second attack in less than 24 hours on police in Quetta, located in the southwestern province of Balochistan. In a statement, the group also said 4 people were killed, including 2 policemen. Senior police official Shafkat Chima stated the target was the vehicle of the acting superintendent of police investigations, which was parked in Kandahari Bazaar. He said initial reports showed an improvised device containing 4 to 5 kilograms of explosive was planted in a motorcycle parked behind the vehicle and detonated remotely. Before Monday's attack, armed men on Sunday targeted personnel of the police Eagle Squad in Quetta, killing 2 police officers and injuring another. We have come to the end of this newsbrief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.